Hello, how are you today? Do you want to dive into a book that might just surprise you, whether it becomes your next favorite or one you might skip? Let's find out what readers are saying about it.
Snicksnick, who has 2 likes, says, I've been cooking, preparing full meals since I was 8 years old, standing on a chair to reach the back burners. That being said, I have many cookbooks. This cookbook was one of 3 that I was gifted back in 1972 when I married at the age of 21. I used it rather heavily the first 5 years, but have seldom referred to it the past 45 years. I might add that I was divorced in 1979 and stayed single for nearly 21 years. But still loved to cook for family and friends. I hadn't read it cover to cover in nearly 25 years. I am so glad I've reread it, for it brought back many lovely memories of preparing wonderful meals. Those first few years of my first marriage. Diane, who has 12 likes, says, in their attempt to modernize the book, the authors omitted many recipes and techniques that are still relevant. Where is Sol Florentine? For heaven's sake? And while not many families routinely can or freeze food as a winter survival strategy, there are still times when I would like to know how to do it, when my CSA gives me more corn than we can manage, or when local strawberries are beautiful, fresh, plentiful, and cheap. The lack of ice cream recipes is frustrating, especially given that so many manufacturers are making good quality electric-powered ice cream makers. On the other hand, there are lots of new recipes that reflect the increasing influx of immigrant culture and food into America. I'd say, definitely buy this book, but don't chuck your old editions of Joy just yet. You're going to need both. Carrie, who has 88 likes, says, the 1997 edition is infallible. The pre-1997 editions are good if you want to can or pickle your own veg, cook a possum, and make aspic. The 5th edition, i.e. the 75th anniversary edition shown in the picture above, contains too much retro-inspired nonsense and does not continue the practical and innovative approach laid out in the 1997 edition. Basically, the 1997 edition took the heart of the joy of cooking. That is, that it is a book that contains all the recipes your average American cook needs, and updated it for the 1997 American palate. Added in Asian and Mexican foods, removed casseroles made with mushroom soup, etc. The first-person narrative of the other editions was mostly removed. The 75th anniversary editions does no further innovation, and instead adds in some of the older recipes and sections, with limited practical use, in my opinion, and adds a good bit of personal narrative back in. If you're serious about cooking, find the 1997 edition. It will never let you down. If you're interested in the evolution of American recipes from the perspective of the Becker family, the 75th anniversary edition is your book. John Spillers, who has 4 likes, says, my parents bought me my first copy of Joy in 1998. Somewhere along the line I broke its back, so I recently purchased a new copy. I expect that tells you how much I value this cookbook. It is far from the only cookbook in our home, but it gets used more than any other. I have seen other editions, and while they have their following, I prefer this one. From chicken fried steak to crispy roast duck to something called vegetables, 1997 Joy has what you need. No longer expecting notifications, Balikov, who has 44 likes, says, I have had my Joy of Cooking volume for many decades and it is showing its age and frailty. I heard several interviews with the Rombauer family members that have put together the new 2019 edition of this classic. The book cover claims that this edition has revised over 4,000 recipes and added 600 new ones. It is certainly bigger both in format and in weight. I agree with the author's choice not to add photos of the recipes, both for space consideration and because there is nothing that dates a cookbook quicker than a period photograph. What I liked The indexing is better with more chance to look up recipes by ingredients. Ethnicity or unusual requirements, such as high altitude or gluten-free. There are many more ethnic recipes and Asian cooking is better represented. The section on tea drinks and tea making has been expanded. Accompanying beverages, including wine, have been expanded. There is more on nutrition and more suggested menus for events, holidays, etc. I appreciate the additions to the eggs section including kuku sabzi and suffled omelets. My favorite discovery? My previous edition has one classic recipe for brownies. Brownies cocaine. That one is included in the new edition, but there is an additional one. Fudgy brownies. And I like it better. Full disclosure. I haven't bought this book. It is merely a loan from our local library. My cookbook shelf needs to shed more than the previous edition I own. If I am to make room for this one, should I go for the digital version? Not sure. Below, for anyone who is interested, is the extensive table of contents, getting started nutrition and food safety entertaining and menus. Streamlined cooking beverages cocktails, wine, and beer appetizers and hors d'oeuvre stocks and soups salads sandwiches, tacos, and burritos egg dishes fruits vegetables pasta, noodles, and dumplings grains shellfish fish poultry and wildfowl meat game and exotic meat stuffings and casseroles savory sauces, salad dressings, marinades, and seasoning blends breads and coffee cakes pancakes, waffles, donuts, and fritters pies and pastries cakes and cupcakes cookies and bars icings, fillings, frostings, and sweet sauces desserts ice cream and frozen desserts candies and confections keeping and storing, food canning jams, jellies, and preserves pickles salting, drying, and fermenting know your ingredients cooking methods and techniques.